Hey everybody, this is Rudy Sarzo. You're listening to Backstage Access, where the real show begins.
Oh, we used to hang around the main street diner, admiring the fancy car.
Hi, this is Chris with Backstage Access, and we are super pumped because joining us today is Rudy Sarzo, and he's here to chat with us about the Guess Who and their brand new album that they have coming up.
Hi Chris, it's Rudy Sarzo. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good.
Good. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us today.
It's my pleasure.
Awesome. Now, the Guess Who has a brand new album coming out in September, but before we talk about that, tell us how you ended up being in the Guess Who to begin with.
Oh, that's a good question. I happen to have been on tour with Sass Jordan,
Okay.
which is she's married to the lead singer in the Guess Who. So we got to know each other as friends and as bandmates. And when it came time to look for a new bass player, she brought up my name to Derek, our singer, songwriter, and guitarist. And they gave me a call. So basically, that's pretty much how it went down.
Okay. Awesome. So now you're in the band, and the band has a great new album coming out. And it's called The Future Is What It Used to Be, which I think it's a pretty fantastic name, especially for, just an iconic band like the Guess Who. How did that title kind of come about?
They were throwing around titles, and Gary Peterson, our drummer,
Okay.
basically twisted it a little bit because it was pretty much what was brought up as a possibility was that, and then he took the twist of the future is what it used to be.
Right.
So it's not what it used to be.
Right.
So
Awesome. That's pretty cool.
members, bringing up possibilities and then coming up with that little Yogi Berra.
Now, the first single playing on the radio, that's been released so far. And what has the reaction been to the new song?
Incredibly positive. It's you just never know how people are going to react. You just have to go by how you feel about
Right.
anything that you do. Yeah, but we're very pleased, very very pleased.
Awesome. Now, were you involved in the songwriting process for the album, or did you kind of come in midway?
I came in midway, actually more towards the end of the
Okay.
recording process of the record. So there's two other contributors. One of them is the founding member, bassist, Jim Cale,
Okay.
plays on the record, and also Michael Devin, who is the bass player for Whitesnake currently. He was also playing with the Guess Who on a situation. He was subbing for Jim Cale whenever Jim could not make it on the road.
Sure.
And so I am not the sole contributor on the bass guitar on the record. There's two other basses.
Okay. Now, the album it just has that really solid vintage sound to it. So in the recording process, did you guys turn back to like older gear and use the vintage amps and that kind of thing to get those sounds?
Yeah, I was involved in a couple of songs, but for the rest of the recording, they went to Blackbird Studio in Nashville.
Okay.
And used they have a lot of vintage gear available at the studio, from amplifiers to guitars. So everything was pretty much in that direction, yes.
Awesome. Now, being that, you have a lot of harder rock background with, Quiet Riot, Ozzy, all of that, and you're coming into a group like the Guess Who, did you have to adapt your style of playing to kind of fit their music?
Adaptation. It's the key to the survival of any species. So adaptation, yes. Even when I started playing heavy metal, I had to adapt.
Right.
Because I've been playing longer than heavy metal was around. That's how old I am, It's like I have conversations with Gary Peterson, our drummer, and he started playing before rock and roll existed.
Sure.
He was 3 years old, when he started playing. So it's like we evolve with it. So going back to me starting to play in the late 60s, early 70s, I played everything that was on the radio, at parties and later on in clubs and so on.
Sure.
We had top 40 back in the day. Nowadays, it's tribute bands. Back in the day, you play anything that was top 40, you played that, whether it was Johnny Cash or Deep Purple.
Right. Okay.
You just play. That was part of your set list, And the Guess Who was a main part of our set list, And so, yes, I grew up playing that. And then later on, it wasn't until I moved to Los Angeles that I actually started playing with Quiet Riot, which was more glam pop, pop rock. And it wasn't until I played with Ozzy that I actually got to play heavy metal.
Right. Okay. So it's constantly evolving and changing, and that's how you can stay alive in this business nowadays, I guess.
Yeah, it's a journey. It's a journey, and I love it. I am a musician. I'm not just I don't consider myself a specific genre musician.
Sure.
I'm just a musician.
Right. All music is good music.
Oh, yeah.
Now, you guys also got a video out for the single. So, and of course, when you were in one of your previous bands, Quiet Riot, that was kind of the beginning of the whole video era. How have things changed in regards to music videos over the years?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question. Okay, 1983, you could actually set your watch every half hour to watch on MTV Come and Feel the Noise.
Right, yes, because I did.
And and that was at the very beginning. Budgets were very affordable to make a video back then. And so then MTV kind of like moved on to a different format, and now with YouTube and social media, that's how you get the audience to actually watch your video.
Right.
And again, it's gone back from being crazy. I mean, I uploaded some videos that were like $350,000 each.
Right, like movie budgets.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, short films, absolutely. And now it's become very affordable. And even the directors. I mean, we had a really outstanding director on this one. And Nigel Dick, who's done just about every big video from the 90s, from Britney Spears to Guns N' Roses.
Nice.
And the guy, so nowadays you go in, it's almost like guerrilla. You only spend a few hours shooting the video, you get quality stuff. You don't overshoot. You have a very small crew or no crew whatsoever. And he's a brilliant director, Nigel. And he just came in. He knew exactly everything was storyboarded. We did it. We were done within five hours. Whereas in the old days, I got to tell you, I've done 26-hour video
Wow.
for one video. Yes, I've done that. Because you just shoot and then you figure out what you got.
Absolutely.
During the edit.
So it's a lot more streamlined now to get it done, I guess.
Yeah,
Now,
but it's the same outcome.
Right.
The outcome is to promote the song.
Sure. Just a little different avenue nowadays, but the result is the same.
Absolutely.
Now, the band's also going to be heading back out on tour in a few weeks. So tell us a little bit about the tour and what fans can kind of expect to see.
Yeah, we've been doing shows pretty much headlining on our own, and once in a while you get to to be on the bill with other great artists. We just did this last weekend. We played with Joan Jett over in Medicine Hat, Canada. And also Honeymoon Suite the day before in Sarnia, right outside of Detroit, on the border with Canada. And we play with Styx, and let's see, yeah, we but usually it's mostly us headlining.
And you're going to be using the set list, the new material off the new album, as well as I'm sure a lot of the Guess Who standards.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, when we get together we're going to reshape our set list to include more of the new record and also keep all the hits.
Okay, nice. Very nice. Now, speaking of hits of the Guess Who, American Woman, it's just such an iconic song. And, you mentioned that back in the day, that might have been part of your set list when you were playing. So how does it feel now to be kind of come full circle, if you'd say, because you're now a member of the band and you're performing it, live at shows all the time now?
Yeah. I got to tell you, playing with Gary Peterson, who's the founding member drummer of the band, he played on every record. And to play with him, American Woman, he plays it like nobody else.
Well, I'm sure, yeah.
Because there's only one way to play that song, and that's how he plays it, certain drummers can go in there and do their own version of what the drums are, but it's not the same.
Right.
I mean, so to play with him, not only that song, but These Eyes and No Time,
right.
Undone. The list goes on and on. It's fantastic. It's really a blessing to be able to do that for me after all these years.
Awesome. Now, you've been a part of, not only this band now, but so many rock bands over the years. And I wanted to just briefly ask you about your time in Ozzy's band, because you had such a close relationship with Randy Rhoads, and I was hoping that you might be able to share just a special little story or anecdote with us about the time you spent with Randy.
Yeah, I actually wrote a book about it. It's called Off the Rails, because after we hang up, I'm pretty sure I'm going to think of something else. Which is the reason why I wrote the book. The number one question I get asked when I travel around the world was, what was it like to play with Randy? And I could never personally satisfy myself sharing stories.
Sure.
About everything. And you want everybody to know everything that I know about Randy. And so I wrote a book about it. Not only Randy with Ozzy, but Randy with Quiet Riot, because I'm the only musician that got to play with him in both bands.
Right.
And it was definitely a different musical goal. And by that, I don't mean talent, because he was always an outstanding musician.
Right.
But when you're in a local band, your goal is to get a record deal. And sometimes you have to compromise.
Right.
Yourself, your creativity.
Sure.
In order to please the record guys, the label.
Sure, understood.
Once Randy got the gig with Ozzy told him, listen, just be yourself. And what came out of Randy playing with Ozzy would have never come out under the microscope and the restrictions that the Los Angeles record labels were placing, not just on us, but the whole industry,
Sure.
At that time in the 70s, the late 70s. And so to have actually watch Randy just evolve musically with no limitations whatsoever. It's like, okay, Randy now wants to go back to his classical guitar playing roots. Okay, nobody's going to tell me not to do this, because Ozzy is going to go for it.
Right.
So to have that kind of freedom to be yourself, it was magnificent. Just totally magnificent to see Randy evolve as a musician. What saddens me is that what we have left as proof of his creative talent is basically something that was, let's say, Diary was recorded in 80, finished maybe early 81, because we started touring for Blizzard in 81. So he passed away like basically 2 years later. He had grown musically so much exponentially, that it was never really captured in the studio.
Right.
So that is a bit sad for me, because I knew how much he had evolved, because I could hear it backstage. He would
Sure.
be practicing and he would be playing, but then he had to go in on stage and play what was, basically a reproduction of what he already created in the studio.
Right. Right. Well, thank you for sharing that with us. I do appreciate getting some insight into that. Now, there's a lot of new bands who are coming out nowadays and kind of going back to that more classic era of rock, bands like Greta Van Fleet for one. And do you get a chance to check out any of the new up and coming bands?
Yeah, I love the Struts and Greta. Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. I do as well. And I can't wait for this record to drop, because I think people are going to be so pleasantly surprised with what you guys have put together here.
Yeah, it's really interesting because you have the foundation of Gary, being a founding member
Right.
of the group. So you have that solid background that it still is part of the major part of the Guess Who sound. And then you have new blood brought in. There's so much talent, musical talent in the band. It's just mind-boggling. For example, Will Evankovich, our other guitar player, in addition to Derek Sharp, he's a producer. And he just did the Styx record, The Mission.
Okay.
And he co-wrote it with Tommy Shaw. And he collaborates with Tommy Shaw all the time when Tommy does the solo project. And Derek Sharp also, he does incredible songwriter, singer, guitar player, performer, brilliant frontman. And Leonard Shaw on keyboards and saxophone and flute. And so it's an incredibly musical band. And I think that the record is a perfect representation of that.
I agree. It's an awesome record, and I can't wait for it to drop so everybody gets a chance to hear it. And hopefully everybody will get a chance to check it out on the road when you guys hit that tour.
Yeah, September 14th, the record drops.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Rudy, for chatting with us today.
Watching as my life passes me by.